Welcome to In the Green Room. I'm Kinga.
And I'm Chet.
And can you introduce yourselves?
Jim Nowlin, I go by Enigma.
Sean T French, I go by French.
French and Enigma.
We've got Tiffany
and we've
back
got
in
Tiffany.
the studio with us.
Hi, everybody.
She's saving children and she's my bodyguard.
Literally from this past weekend, but today I'm here to learn more about Enigma and French.
That's right.
So it sounds like you guys were helping provide some of the art and entertainment at this festival you went to last weekend, right?
Yeah, it was just me. Our friend's last night's makeup party. They were once on the event. They reached out to me a few months ago. They're like, "Man, we'd love you to come and perform," because I'm a fire performer primarily in that regard, and bring a couple of my fire art sculptures that shoot fire. These are things that Sean and I build, and we innovate different sculptures, performance pieces, things that are very dynamic, very propane activated fire features and such.
It's fire art.
It is.
It's so exciting.
So is that also what you guys do at Burning Man too then? Because we were talking a little bit about Burning Man earlier. Very cool.
Yeah, we've both been going for a very long time. I first went back in '02, and we've been building, big sculptures for a long time. That's pretty much the premier large sculpture event in the world.
Yeah.
And you see the coolest stuff, the most innovative, the most interactive. A lot of what's going on these days is what they call activated art. And so we like to go into a space and activate it. So I've been building
Activated art. Ooh.
Yeah, activated art.
We'll have to have you guys come to Gallery Andrea and do some of this activated art at one of the art shows.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Well, it's one thing to have, a static sculpture, which I've been, doing those for a long time, and I love that. It's another thing to have, movement in that space, and then other things like lights and fire, and then performance. And so when Jim and I first started teaming up, I had these sculptures in various spaces, and he also was doing fire troop stuff in spaces, and we're looking at it and we're going, wait a second here. We started putting this together, and so we also have a group called Art of Flame that we do stuff together that's just the celebration of everything fire art. And so there's a lot of things that includes, including like glass blowing and all kinds of stuff like that.
You guys are dangerous. I love it.
So we
I
had
have a glass of
past
wine.
show where we learned a lot about Burning Man, but for people that don't know that much about Burning Man, can you talk a little bit how it's different than just a regular music festival? Because it's not a regular music festival, not even close. It's completely unique.
No, and actually, real burners, we dispel it being called a festival. It's a gathering. Thank you. Artists, theme camps, experiences, the things that you will witness and experience on Playa, where we do it there in the Black Rock Desert, is unlike anything you are likely to experience, anywhere else. Because of the different Burning Man principles, because of the intentions put into it.
Can you dumb it down and tell people what the principles are? People that don't know about Burning Man?
Yeah.
Can you kind of tell us what it is? I know what it is, but
Yeah, so there's lists of different principles, such as radical inclusion, where we are encouraged to include all people. Radical self-reliance, so that you're not coming and just being a burden to others, but you're taking care of yourself and being there to take care of others. Communal effort, participation. Those are all other.
Isn't leaving no footprint?
Yeah, leave no trace.
Leave no trace is probably
no
the
trace.
most famous one.
That is.
But behind all this, the big thing is that, and you asked the difference between a festival. You're not a observer at Burning Man. You're a participant.
Very cool.
And it's like a festival. You've got this guy on stage or people on stage, and then everybody else watching. So it's us and them. Burning Man, you need to come and participate.
It's
Very
interactive.
Cool. It's interactive. And
Totally
that,
interactive.
Cool.
And the other big thing that separates it from any other festival in the world is the part that confuses a lot of people, which is what we call temple. And what that is that we have the man burn that everybody's very famous. Everybody's seen that, the man on fire. Well, the next day, if weather permits, we have what's called the temple burn. And that's a very unique thing, and I think it's really what endears me to this and always has, is the concept is that throughout the year, you may have something that you've decided to be done with. Something maybe is done with you, something that's ended. Maybe it isn't a death, but it's something, that you're ready to kind of cleanse in fire. And so you bring that. and
Maybe
you put
a
it
relationship.
Something you're ready to
that's
move
gone-
on.
maybe a photo, maybe a dog bowl, maybe like an old painting. Maybe you've decided to quit drinking. You're going to put your Jack Daniel's bottle there.
Okay.
And what happens then is at that time, like 40,000 people can be surrounding this temple when it's about to burn. Every one of those people are thinking about that thing they have in there. So when that burns, it's quiet. So like any other thing you've ever experienced, all of a sudden it's quiet. And then this burns, and so it's very special to everyone for each of their own reasons. It's not about anybody worshiping anybody in the other ideas of a temple or any kind of religious other
something
known
spiritual
thing.
for each
It's
individual.
spiritual, and very individual, and so that separates those two things. Really separate the event.
We have the spiritual aspect and the aspect of cleansing. There's things you want to let go of. That makes it so unique.
Exactly.
Yeah, in fact, like, when people ask me, what's Burning Man like? I always tell them two things. I say, first off, Burning Man is always ecstatic and traumatic. It is. Because
Ecstatic and dramatic.
It is,
We have to hashtag that.
Yeah,
Gabe.
definitely. Because, you're going to go and have experiences dancing and connecting with people and wild art and fun things, like climbing up like a 30-foot, like a blown glass, stained glass unicorn slide that you slide down, and different, things like that, and amazing experiences. And it will also physically, mentally, and spiritually kick your ass because of just being in the Black Rock Desert. It's a hostile environment. I mean, 2022 was relentless dust storms and windstorms just battering us, like all during build week, and it was high temperatures and like things were breaking down all the time, and it was just tough.
That sounds so fun.
It is. No,
Well, we go with a little bit of an advantage being from Phoenix.
Yeah.
Because literally when we get there, it's slightly cooler,
I was gonna say,
and the
the
nights are way
temperatures
cooler.
like?
But don't let that fool you.
Right.
It still ends up sneaking up on you. If it's not the heat that'll get you, it'll be all of a sudden it's a lake again.
Yeah.
Well, I'm somebody that
it's
likes every kind of weather. I've been famous for sitting out to the end of a game in the pouring rain. If it's blistering hot, if it's freezing cold, I don't care. But dust, and I don't work well, so I don't know about that one. But
it will permeate every crack and crevice of your body.
I heard it
Everything.
messes up phones and computers,
Yeah,
everything you
it's just-
bring. Yeah.
My van out there, you still, you don't get rid. You
It
just
never
get
goes
used
away.
to it.
I regret not going this last year because it was a big mud fest, and that I
Oh,
would have
2 years
loved.
That was 2 years
Oh, was it 2 years
Yeah.
ago? 2 years ago. I mean, I would be fine with that. And
Well, and like last year, actually, during we had weather during build week, but during actual burn week, it was actually probably the best weather I've ever experienced. It was really, really good until Exodus, and it started during Temple Burn, the final night, and then we had bad dust storms, and that just like continued for like 2 days. So everyone trying to leave was just a mess. So that's part of the traumatic thing I'm talking about, but also just what it tends to do to you individually as a person when you're there. Is also like it will bring up.
is it a catharsis almost?
It is, yeah, and like what Sean was talking about with the temple. Temple is like it's very somber. I mean, you go from Saturday night during the man burn, which is the wildest raging party you'll ever experience, high level energy and everything going on. All the fire performers around, the Great Circle, and I've been part of that before and things. So then the next night, temple burn, and it's just quiet and somber and reflective. So that's that's why the other thing I say about Burning Man is I describe it as it's actually an intense spiritual event disguised as a wild festival.
Yeah, is it true that there are areas that are like for nudists and they're either naked or topless or
Yeah, you'll see
bottomless
that
or-
throughout because that's part of that's
because-
part of the radical self-expression.
'Cause-
So you'll have like a parade of shirt cockers. And a shirt cocker is...
I don't know what that is.
Well, I'm about to
Teach me.
explain.
I want to learn.
Don't
We'll
Google
leave
it.
this one to Jim.
Yeah. So like you'll see shirt cockers where and like so that is like how it sounds. So it'd be like a dude wearing a shirt and nothing else. So
Seriously?
shirt cocking, yeah.
I
and there'll be
learn a new word.
A parade of the, you know what I mean?
Right, only one you need to know at Burning Man.
Right. And
It's not a common thing anywhere else.
so you'll have different like levels of. I mean, you have wild costumes and outfits, and you see that, and you'll just see full nudists and things. So, and that's part of like your radical self-expression, and also part of the radical inclusion.
And it's also part of the culture on how you deal with that.
Yeah.
And people are very cool, and then there's parts where they're very open. So the city, we call it the city, is built with theme camps. So like, you can go in, you can put in and you pre-do this stuff so everybody knows what's going on. Your theme camp and your concept. And so your concept may be, okay, we do big sculptures and fire art, or maybe over here it's, a totally other thing where, you have to, realize this is a total sexual thing, or this is like, a drinking thing. It could be all kinds of different things, depending on what they want to do
Meaning there
with
can
their
be a
camp.
camp that's all about drinking. There's a camp
Or
that's
little-
all about sex stuff.
Little
a camp
games,
about-
There's tons of different
Fitness,
themes.
isn't there a fitness
whatever
thing?
themes. There
I've
could
heard
be.
that there's a fitness thing.
Pretty much you'll find it there if it's, this is a city at the end of the day of, 50,000 plus, depending on your years, up to 90, so like a lot can happen in that. And so you've got like you've got some people that are just playing, music the whole time.
I love
and
That'd be my
that kind of
camp.
thing.
I'd be the music camp.
Other people that are, very
Music
into
and wine.
costumes, and they're, whatever it is, and that's what makes the experience really great. And then it's also, listed so you can kind of plan your time. Again, with the city on that size, you're only there for a week. You never see it all, for the most part.
But something exciting is you guys even have a post office. And so if you want to send
Multiple.
mail from Burning Man, did you send any
Airport
mail
and
out?
everything else,
I used to do that. Like there's a post office called C3PO box. So it's like a giant mailbox, and that's one of the post offices. And I would go there, and they would have like postcards of pictures from the burn through the years, and I will like write postcards to each of my kids and mail it to them, and they'll put a stamp on it and they'll mail it out.
You have kids?
I have 4. Yeah.
Wow.
Wait, before you guys, I'm stuck on one thing. You said something about Exodus. Before Exodus, so what is? I've never been to Burning Man, so I'm like oblivious to everything.
So that's like Exodus kind of begins after the man burns, like Saturday night. So that's like when the people start to leave Black Rock City. So you've got 60, 70 up to 80, 90,000 people, depending on the years, are there, and it's one road into there.
Oh my gosh.
So
That's
and so imagine a barren, dry, flat, alkaline lake bed where before there's nothing there. They just drove the Golden Spike, they call it here, this last week, and that's like the center point where the man will be built, and all the city is gridded around that. So that just went in here a few days ago. So the city's being built right now. When it is up and running, it's actually the 3rd largest city in Nevada, behind Vegas and Reno. And it's a full functioning city, but again, it's what artists and creatives and volunteers and everybody come and produce. Really, it's such a fucking beautiful thing.
It is. It's
created
something
and done.
to come up with this concept. Who started it? Do you know?
Yeah, where did it?
Yes.
Well, that was my next question.
Larry
So-
Harvey in 1986, right?
Yeah,
It was.
Such a
in
cool idea.
California and on the beach. Actually, they first did burns
San
on the
Francisco.
beach, and then they got too big and they needed more freedom, and they finally went out to BLM land out in Nevada.
I was about to ask, how did they pick that venue? Because it seems to be, it has the right amount of space, but everything else about it seems very challenging, like the dust. and
That's a good way to
everything
say
else.
it, sweetie.
Yeah.
It is, but
Challenging.
like when you think about, giant art cars, that are massive, and fire art like what Sean and I do, and when you come and once you park your car, your RV or something, you park in the city, you don't drive again. Everything is by foot or on bike. That's why you see people on bikes or riding on an art car.
So you can rent a bike,
You don't rent.
or you bring your own.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's another Burning Man principle is decommodification. So once you're on site, there's no money exchange. It's not a barter system. Everything, it's a gifting
No one's selling
economy.
T-shirts.
Nope. Yeah, that's another,
Really?
That's another burner principle is gifting. So everything you experience, all the shows, or you go to a camp and it's a consciousness camp where they're doing sound healing and meditation and massages and whatever it is, that's all gifted. It's all free.
That's the coolest part, because
That's cool.
That's the part that is the closest to a true utopia.
It's very utopian.
Yeah.
Like that. Exactly. And that's why you'll hear true burners will refer to Burning Man as home. We'll call it like, we're returning home, and
And it sounds safe, because obviously if you don't have any money exchange, there would be no reason for any thieves to come there and try to rubbing anybody.
We would
Ideally.
wish that. Yeah, ideally.
Have
It
rebels
helps.
everywhere.
Let's say it helps.
Mhm.
It helps for sure.
But you know,
So you
it's-
can't buy any food there?
You
have to bring your own?
like
You bring
the only
in.
thing that's sold
Mhm.
at Burning Man is ice, like at Center Camp.
Mm-hmm.
They used to
Maybe
have
fuels.
and they used to do coffee. Yeah, that's right. If you're an artist and you need fuel for your art cars and such, you have to go pay for that. But that's for the general public. No, everything is gifted. And like I literally have known of people that have showed up to Burn, not knowing what they're getting into, just had a ticket, and there's a saying that we say playa provides, and like
Although that's not recommended.
Don't recommend it, yeah.
So the theme camps come back in at this moment because for months ahead of time, everybody's talking. So you get in a theme camp. Now you're gonna have a kitchen. So now you're gonna have somebody. I'm gonna make burgers this night or whatever.
Really?
And so now it becomes a communal thing where you're not just bringing in like everybody bringing in everything. It's like, okay, let's do this as a team. And you come in and the successful theme camps do that really very well.
Yeah.
And that becomes a lot of the experience. For me, going way back, it was part of it to not have, a phone connection. It was part of it to, in the early days, you couldn't take pictures there unless you had somehow gotten everybody's permission that would be in that picture, which you couldn't do, so you didn't take pictures. So for many early years, I have like one or two shots, very little, now, everybody's taking pictures.
So it's
more,
allowed
but-
now.
It is, but
It's
I
not taboo.
and there's so there's regional burns too, which I wanted to bring up. This moved out to the entire country and entire world, and so like here, even in Arizona, we're very involved with Saguaro Man, and when we have people come out with that, but they're all over, and so these.
Wait, I don't know about Saguaro Man. What is that?
it's our regional burn here.
Yeah. So,
When is it?
When is it?
May, April.
Yeah.
April, May.
Really?
That's the name
Where?
of the group.
Down near
Soror Man.
Wilcox, and it's the same. So if you find yourself interested in burner things, you can find what is my region, what is my regional group, and what is their event. And so a
So
lot
those
of people
go to Burning Man.
Well, a lot of them will go to a regional first, because you can get a lot of the culture. You can kind of get also like find a theme camp. And so now I've gone to a regional and I found a camp. So now are you guys going to Big Burn? Well, we are, and so now you can kind of bridge your way in sort of the
And then you have
more
a crew.
comfortable way.
Yeah, you crawl before you walk, and this would be like the crawling stage.
Right.
Right? Because I mean, like, I'm baby to this, so I want to know what I'm getting myself into.
And then it
We're gonna
becomes.
do this.
Then these teams become like, okay, so now it rains for a week and we do have we're kind of like, we already did the team thing, so we're kind of ready, and you kind of surf it through, and so now what's left? Well, let's just have a good time, and,
Very cool.
and it makes it this other thing, and there still are the people that'll come in and they won't really get it, and so yes, the playa will provide, and especially the older burners will help with that a lot. But it is all in this, okay, this is what you do next time, kind of how to learn it kind of thing. It's it has gotten to where some of the events are being held in easier to go to locations where you do have like a phone service. I actually don't like that. I like, I'm out, I'm gone.
You're out of the grid.
Yeah.
Well, it's my daughter that you met this weekend at the, what was that?
Mustang Mountain.
Mustang Mountain, which was incredibly cool.
It was.
It
was a
Chet was
really good
working on a
time.
new album. He wasn't there, but you were there.
I was there.
Wasn't that cool?
It was amazing. The best part was like the burlesque performance was outside of her daughter's performance.
Save
And
for
you
the
guys-
DJ.
Save for the DJ, you guys.
Mhm.
You did amazing. Like I was in
my
awe.
gosh.
Like I'm in the camera, like trying to focus my camera, but watch at the same time. And I'm not even a camera kind of girl, but it was a lot. It was my first experience, and I enjoyed it.
Good.
I never thought a fire performance could actually be sexual, but yours was. I remember.
Let me clarify this for the listeners out there, because we know the FBI is listening. That's what I always say. What we do is it's sensual, but the intention is not sexual.
And he didn't take
Sensual.
he didn't take any clothes off.
No, he did
He
not.
had no clothes off, but it's just what he did with his fire.
He worked well with the music, like really well with the music. They were one. Yeah.
And that's a lot of what Jim and I are growing is this,
Mhm.
performance layer to, what we're presenting with our art. And it is something that, we have an original angle on. It's a lot of fun to do, and we're getting more and more of a musical element involved with it too. And, it's really a neat thing. The other thing that, want to bring up that's great about the community of Burning Man is that so in doing fire art, you're dealing with fire, super dangerous, propane, super these things.
Very dangerous.
You get to meet with people from all over the world who also do this and also know what they're doing and talk about it, and then codes are developed, and so there's a team called the FAST team, which is the fire art safety team, and we participate on that, and then we have friends and guilds out there that, okay, so we want to do this thing. I want to have 20-foot, as we do now, 20-foot Phoenix that shoots 40-foot flames, and we have to make that safe. And we,
How do you do that?
Well, it's
Practice.
yeah, and it's a lot of science, and it's a lot of making sure you're testing right. It's a lot of that. We have
Do you have any firefighters that you've gotten to become best friends with that can
absolutely
help you?
so firemen like are our thing. We did an event a couple years ago now here in Scottsdale where we brought a lot of large pieces that was for firefighters with cancer. But we've also performed. We went with Strawberry, Cleator, Wilcox, all these small towns. The only way you can really interact with them is to interact with the fire department.
I love that.
We have mad respect for them. We usually, when we do a show, we try to benefit wildfire prevention.
Because when you're at the Burning Man, I know that there are firefighters there because we've done a show a long time ago. We did a show with this guy. I think his last name is Boehner, Scott Boehner, and he was firefighter, paramedic, but also he was the official photographer for Burning Man.
Nice.
And he started off by just going to help be one of the firefighters. But anyway, I know he still participates with that whole thing.
Nice.
We'll plug to Scott Boehner.
And just to add on to what Sean is saying, even like when you Tiffany, when you saw me perform and when you see the stuff we do, it is outlandish and outrageous and wild and
It's art.
It is art. I mean,
It is.
this is the expression. This is our medium. Is the fire and the sculptures and the structures that we make, and we innovate things. Like that prop you saw, like that's an original prop. Like the different things, just stuff Sean makes, like badass.
Well, let's speak about that. You're an artist.
It's interesting. I feel
like flamethrowers, but they are flame effect props.
I feel like that stuff is basically trickling into the mainstream music festivals now. You're seeing more and more like fire performers or dancing fire performers at these big festivals.
Beautiful fire performance and performers and aerials and such. And what I was going to say about that is, even though it seems like super outrageous, because it is, but but we put a lot of work, talking with each other, like how do we innovate?
Don't worry, it's not loaded.
And make things not only effective and cool to watch and perform with, but so that it's safe, because we respect the craft of what we're doing, and and we're not. It might seem like we're cavalier, but we're not. Like what Sean was saying, we're part of the fire art safety teams, at these different regionals and the things we do, because we want longevity here. We want to keep doing this. So we're not like renegade performers. And I have to tell people this a lot. Like, we will do, like, Desert Hearts Fest is one of our big events that we do. And people will message me because of my following, and people, same with Sean, they know what we do, and they're like, hey, where can we spin our fire props or spin our ploy or do things? Like, no, you can't. We're in a stage 2 fire restriction here in the forest. You can't use
that's important.
white gas or paraffin and those different typical types of things. We can do what we do because of the systems that we make are exempt under the rules, because they are, they have shutoff valves and the mechanics of it and that sort of thing. So we do our best to be extra safe with it.
So it sounds like you innovated basically and made it more safe.
Yes, exactly. And then that
all the time.
That allows us to do more events, and we're not just being renegades, out there just lighting shit on fire.
You're not being.
Even though it might seem like it.
It seems dangerous, but it's you're taking the safety precautions.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like.
Well, Burning Man is in that open land there where there's not a lot to
To catch
But
fire.
there's still, so you
Except
like,
for people.
you can go to Burning Man and essentially light yourself on fire as long as you don't hurt you can't hurt anybody else. And so there's a lot of rules, there's a lot of, we set up boundaries, but at the same time, we know that this is something we want you to feel, hear, and all that sort of thing. So like, in 23, we shot off this enormous flame. Like, this thing looks like an H-bomb. It came out from behind the Phoenix.
Is there
And
a
it was
video on
so
YouTube?
hot. Oh yeah, sure.
What can people look up to find?
It's
the
on Instagram.
Oh, Instagram.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so like if you wanted to look up at Sean T French, it's right at the top. So it's not a little flame.
Wow.
You know, so that's actually good.
Very cool.
So yeah, and that's the Phoenix there.
It's amazing.
But also we have at Art of Flame, which is art_a_flame, and it has a lot of stuff on there too. And
How did you guys get involved with
An
this?
Enigma.
Like what got your start? Like, I want to work with fire.
Well, I'll say my journey real quick.
Yes.
I had just gotten introduced to fire performing in 2013 at a friend's wedding, and it was part of their wedding reception. And when I saw this, I was like, oh my God, what is this sorcery? And
It's
how do I
hypnotizing
get
when you
into
see it the
my
first
life?
time.
Yeah.
I was like jaw dropped on the floor the first
Yeah.
time I saw it.
And then those friends of mine, they were part of a fire performing troupe called Pyroclectic, and this was up in Prescott where I used to live. And so they invited me to their next, fire jam practice to come and try it out. And so I got to try out a few different props. I showed up at the next practice a couple weeks later with my own props that I had made, some unique props. And they're like, "Yo, where'd you find these?" And I said, "I made them." And they're like, "What?" And then I showed up the next practice with my 7-foot trident that I still use to this day. And they're like, "Dude, where'd you get this trident?" I'm like, "I made it." And it's just ideas. And then and same thing like with Sean over the years. We get ideas and we start making stuff. And then so that led me into becoming a fire performer. That's how I was given my name by my fire performing mentor. Named me Enigma during my
It's
first
a great name. I love
performance.
Enigma.
Yeah.
Great name.
And
Mystery.
Yeah, and I always love telling the story because I was performing my first public performance, and he's standing there in the back, and he's like 6.5 feet tall, stroking his beard, and he looks over at me and goes, "Jim, come here." And his deep voice. And he looks at me, and he's stroking his beard, and he goes, You are an enigma. That is your name."
I love that.
Thank you, Sensei.
Right?
Yeah, and then that has been like my thing since then, because it does come out, like you said, single dad with 4 kids. My youngest just turned 20 a couple of days ago.
Have you taken them to Burning Man yet then?
My oldest has been 3 times.
Very cool.
Wow.
All the others have been in multiple festivals. I worked in the festival industry, doing different performing things. Some of it fire, some of it not, and things. So they've been, everything with me from, Bonnaroo to, Life is Beautiful, EDC, or whatever.
What about EDC?
He just said that.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't hear EDC.
He was the last one he said.
Okay.
Personally not a fan of EDC.
Oh, I love
it's
it.
a big spectacle, but there's so many better things out there, in my opinion, where you can be more connected with people and such. This is why we, like Sean and I, we love doing the regional burns.
And how did you two meet and get connected with your
I think
fire?
it was social media or Walter or something, right?
Yeah, so I mean, so my past goes back to I've been a lifelong artist, and I also was a medieval armorer, and so I became a master class armorer, and decided around 2000, which is also about the time I started burning, that I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to celebrate the war. I didn't want to celebrate a time when it was really crappy for everybody except the big dog on top, and I put down the armoring. And then I was painting murals and doing a bunch of other stuff and started burning. And in talking to burners, they said, "What, you're a master armorer? Why don't you use that in a fine art?" And I started thinking about it. Then I had the epiphany that it's not about armor worn into battle. It's about the metaphorical armor we put on through life. And so I started a series that talks about that. A lot of them are female forms because in my life I've seen a lot of females like, "No, there's judgment on the other side of a door, and put that armor on and go kill it." So they were about that, and I was getting attention and getting some audience. Around that time, I was contacted by the History Channel to do a show with Tim Allen, where he wanted to have a engineer and an artist and a marine go against each other to do a build. And the build was a flame-throwing leaf blower. Now this is a while back now, 6 or 7 years, or I don't know when it is, it's a while back. And at that time I had been playing with fire, I had done a bunch of things in the past, but in that moment I started realizing I need to do something to win this show, and so I made this flamethrower leaf blower and then built it to look like a dragon. so it had a lot
Oh.
of metal on it, and it really looked cool. I ended up winning that contest. The show didn't go on to a lot because things happened. It was before something happened like that. But it was funny because a few years later, I had signed off everything to do this show, and he was on there with Karn, the two Tool Time guys, and Karn puts on the table a chainsaw and says, "This is my favorite tool," and Tim Allen picks up my thing, sets it on the table, and says, "No, this is my favorite tool." He didn't even tell me he was doing that or anything. It's not.
Hey, Tim Allen, do you know who that is?
Yeah.
It's a strange thing to do, like it was a weird matchup. I'm not exactly a Tim Allen kind of guy, and so the whole time he's.
Oh, I am. He's so great.
Well,
I love him.
he's teasing me the whole
He's
time.
amazing.
So he's like, "Yeah, maybe if your hair wasn't in the way, you could, but it's funny, and
Yeah.
so I end up becoming underdog, and it was so that made me realize, wow, the attention difference between having a piece that sits there and is cool, and you really have to get people in and pay attention, and one that shoots fire is like 30 people paying attention versus 300. All of a sudden, it was boom. And so I started making some pieces that would have fire that would be at the art shows I was doing. And we were doing some shows at this place called the Ice House in Phoenix, which is a really great venue. And
Where is that? I don't know that.
Right downtown.
Okay.
Right off the railroad tracks, and really cool place. And so I had the normal standard gallery show full of pieces in there, and then out back I had a few fire pieces, and then talked to Jim and said, "Man, we should liven this up. What could we do to make this be more exciting?" He just goes, "Dude, watch." And so basically, he shows up, with some people and some stuff that he's put together. All of a sudden, we're doing it. We've got, him with, some of my pieces, and we just looked at it together and went, "Okay,
Wow.
we got a thing to do."
Yeah, and that
We're gonna collab.
yeah, that
We're a
evolved
team.
into Art of Flame. Yeah,
I love it.
That was a
And so
nice
this has been
collab.
going how many years now?
going on 5 years.
I think it might be longer than that now. It's somewhere in there, yeah. Right. To be fair, we could say 5.
5 years, Art of Flame. People can look you up on YouTube or
Yeah, Instagram or like our personal Instagrams or our Art of Flame Instagram. Yeah.
okay, Art of Flame.
Yeah.
Instagram. Are you also on Facebook and TikTok and all
those are
that?
individual names, not TikTok so much, but
yeah? Okay,
mainly Instagram.
I'm not really into TikTok either. Do you have a question? I think she is a
No, I'm just I'm just blown away because
Right?
first of all, you
Blown
guys are
away.
playing, yes, literally. You guys are playing with fire, and it's just I've never even been to a show until I went this past weekend where somebody like played with fire, and you play with the candle waxer or something every now and then when you're a kid, but it's like it's different when you're older. Like this dude has a toy, and it's just blowing, and he's dancing with it. Like you didn't even burn yourself.
No.
And I was so impressed by that because it was like the fire, it wasn't uncontrollable, it was controlled. But it was also coming out of this huge metal made structure, and you just like, and it just get bigger and smaller and bigger. And I was just taken aback. So just hearing how you all started, and then you guys do take safety measures to be careful, because this is not just a hobby for you guys, but this is like
because
your
you don't want to
lifestyle.
hurt somebody.
No, what hurt themselves
of
too,
course,
but this
right.
is what they enjoy doing. Like you
Yeah.
got involved and you deeply got connected to this, and now you found somebody who's on the same boat as you, rocking the same wave, and it's like you guys are just it's amazing. I want to take it in. I'm just listening.
Yeah, thank you.
I want to take it
Well,
in.
and the thing is, like Sean and we consult with each other often, and just like Sean was saying, like he has such a long background. Like, look at this beautiful piece. And
Okay, let's talk about that.
What is
You
this
should see,
called?
Like
Yeah.
the things that he makes, and
Mhm.
yeah, I mean big structures and such, and so Sean is super skilled with the fine art, with the metal sculpting and such, even wearable pieces. And you should see like the giant wings.
You know what? I'm super excited
that he
because
makes.
Gallery Andrea, our family art gallery, does not have any sculpture right now.
Yeah.
And there used to be a
Let's fix
sculptor.
that.
I bought a bunch of pieces,
Yeah.
and now that sculptor is not alive anymore, and so we need new sculpture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
Be
look into
good.
this.
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah,
It's exciting.
and like Sean was saying, so like this has been, so much of his heart and his expression for years. My expression has been more of the performing side, because like I also perform with Walter Productions and the Instigators and Parachute People and different groups around clownery stuff, and Foo Ha. I'll be performing a big thing with them at Burning Man and with Lucent Dossier Experience and such.
What about have you done anything with any movies?
Ooh, we got some stuff to talk about.
Okay,
that.
we'll
You're
talk
gonna
about
like
that.
this, but just to kind of wrap up about this, where we came together
Mhm.
again, and then Sean reaching out to me as a fire performer, and I was not making fire art structures. I was making all my own props. I've never bought a fire prop. I've always made ones and innovated ones. Hits and misses. Sometimes they work great. Sometimes they don't. And then and then my costuming and things like that. And so we've been a really good blend of that. And Sean has inspired me so much. And going on like about 3 years ago, I started to venture into making my own fire art pieces. And mine are more incorporate more performance things. So like my Elementium is this 18-foot tall fire pyramid that we do suspension from. So we can suspend aerialists like on lyra or aerial pole, or we do like I have a team of friends of shibari artists with doing the rope suspension on the bodies, and we'll do fire kink performances on there with like these like propane filled fire bubbles that I put on bodies and flog them into fiery explosions on their butts and
seriously.
Oh yeah, it's great. And things like that, and we incorporate that along with like Sean's handhelds, like these flamethrowers and then our different props and such. So we create this whole experience. We just have like a big show we just did earlier this month, Desert Hearts every night, doing this, plus like like you saw some of my pieces there at the Mustang Mountain, they're shooting the fire, we have like ones just big flames shooting off of there. And
I've heard the best things about Desert Hearts. Is it one of the best festivals?
100%.
I've heard that from everybody. The only reason why I've never been so far is I've heard that the music goes 24 hours.
74 hours straight.
Yeah, I have the most sensitive ears, and I can't sleep if I can hear music. So I've never been because I don't know. I've been to camping festivals before and I loved it, but I have to use earplugs, and even then I barely get any. But at a place where the music is still going, I don't know.
What I love is
want to
Chet's a
go
little bit
so
bougie.
bad.
He goes to all
I wouldn't
these
say
festivals.
that. I just love
But then
my
he wants to stay in a
sleep.
5-star.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you
I
can
wouldn't say
bring
that.
that.
I've been to camping festivals and stayed in little tents too. So I love
You know
both
what?
experiences.
You just need a nice RV to take to this Burning Man the next time.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
It's also on a
definitely.
great
You'll be
property where if you did elect to, you could camp far enough away. And
Where I
it's
wouldn't hear it?
beautiful.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So it's very cool.
But the Desert Hearts vibes are impeccable.
I've heard that it's the best vibes at a
incredible.
festival.
Where is
Yeah.
that? I don't know. I've heard
It's in
Near
Flagstaff.
Flagstaff.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It used to be in California, but now it's here in Arizona.
Yeah, I've been part of Desert Hearts
Lovely.
since 2018. We've been doing Art of Flame. We're featured right next to the stage, doing our performances, having our fire art and things the last 2 years, and it's been incredible. And and like Desert Hearts loves what we do. Like their most viral video ever is us like fire flogging one of our performers' butts and 2.5 million views on that.
I love that.
And of course, we're doing it all. We're going with the music. We're augmenting it. We're hitting it. The drops, all that kind of stuff. And that's a lot of it. And so this bridged out. I ended up doing a video for Carrie King from Slayer. Which is really cool. It's got all the fire stuff behind it called Residue. It's neat when you can see that. And then I'm Flame Waster in an upcoming movie called Wasteland Cop. That's coming out.
Wasteland Cop.
Yeah,
Ooh, I like that.
And
okay.
then Jim and I are both in an upcoming series that you'll be able to see on the networks called Twisted Tales, where we really, now we're getting into it. So we do some fire stuff, but we're also like these old characters. We're ourselves, but also these
What
old
are the characters? What are they?
Well, so I'm being myself, the artist Sean T French, but I'm interested in history. I'm interested in what affected men's decisions over time. And so in the first one, I'm looking at greed. And so I'm kind of going back into time. And as I do, when I think about it, we shot reenactments where I'm actually in it. And so like I'll be thinking about, we're in this ghost town, and it was really cool. We were in this great Arizona ghost town for a long time.
Which one?
Vulture City. Yeah, well, not Jerome. Vulture City out by Wickenburg. That's where the real history of Arizona happened. It is just amazing out there, and we got to stay out there for a long time.
Have you been there yet?
No.
I've not been there either. I've been to Wickenburg, but where's Walter City from Wickenburg?
Vulture City is like 16 miles south
Vulture City.
on Vulture City Road, Vulture City Mine Road.
Vulture City.
And this is the place why Phoenix exists. That's where they really found the gold that paid for Phoenix. In fact, Grand Avenue, which is the only diagonal street in Phoenix, used to be the stagecoach route, and then later the train route from Vulture Mine into downtown Phoenix to bring in the gold and all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
It was that important. It's really neat what unfolds in this story.
I want to look this up. That's so exciting.
Yeah, you should. And coming up, and it's a neat journey. is what these shows end up being. And you know, they're not so much just about history, they're about, you know, what does an artist think about when they're making pieces. And so throughout it, I'm making a piece, and I'm being influenced by what I'm experiencing, and at the end of it, I show the piece. But you know, we have different moments. There's a point, there was a doctor in Vulture City, and this guy was quite a piece of work. He would make people sick. He would randomly step out his door and shoot somebody, and then like, oh dang, he needs a doctor, you know, kind of thing, or what, you know, like just really, you know, psycho guy. And he ended up, you know, traveling around, and so
That's the character.
Jim plays that
That's
guy.
me.
Stop it!
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! Look at that.
Snazzy. I like the costume.
That is
Yeah.
so flipping cool.
I like it.
Twisted
Gabe,
Tales.
look.
That's what.
So do you have all these hashtags? Are you writing them down? Twisted Tales,
Yeah.
Vulture City.
Yeah,
Vulture
Sean's the
City.
host of the show.
Yeah, yeah.
And what's the name of the show again?
Being filmed
Twisted
right now.
Tales.
Twisted Tales.
Yeah, and I'm the host, and I just go by Sean T French on it.
So how do we find this show? Like, is it on?
It's going to be coming out this spring, so it's not out
Okay.
yet. It's
But,
coming
but
out.
what can we find it on?
shot-
Hulu.
It's going to be on Netflix most likely.
Netflix. Okay.
Yeah,
Netflix. Okay,
very
cool.
cool.
But, yeah.
Will it be a weekly thing?
I'm not. I think it'll come out every week when
Mhm.
the first. So it's going to have 8 episodes.
Very
Wow.
cool. That's so exciting.
And we've
That is
just-
exciting.
And it's the history and they investigate the paranormal.
Yeah, and so we end up, you know, we're in this ghost town, and so this is the other thing that happened. I've always been affected by paranormal stuff my whole life in weird ways,
Mm-hmm.
but in this show it really comes like to the next level. And so there's this moment where I meet up with this professional, if you know, paranormal person, and they bring me through Vulture City. And before that, I decide, you know, look, I want to do this my way. So I do like a fire ceremony before where I shoot off my stuff. And it actually really activated the space, and it kind of surprised the other investigators. And it was something that at first they thought was maybe not so great. No one wants to ever taunt spirit, which isn't what I was doing. I was saying, look, I'm here, I'm announcing myself like I would in Vegas or anywhere else. I'm announcing myself, and it really worked. And so like you see this on the show, and some of the results are crazy, and then we end up doing that at other locations. And part of it is that this actually happened. My character becomes kind of invested in this kind of paranormal investigation into history in a way that's almost a distraction. Like it's neat in the story, you know. But you know, it
Give us one example.
So it sounds like it's like a kind of a blend of fiction and reality, a little bit of both, right?
It is, and it's
Yeah.
very much
That's
in my
reality.
head. So it's real that I'm going through this experience now. You know, some of the history stuff will be up. You know, you're going to experience it too, so you get to see, you know, that kind of thing.
Are there
Very
other
cool.
characters other than the two of you?
Yes, there's quite a few.
Are there any female, sexy ones that we would know?
Well, you know, we run into lots. So there's a lot of historical characters. You know, the thing that's really interesting is that we are now spinning off another series from it called Paranormal Showdown, which Jim is on the cast of, and in this one,
Paranormal Showdown.
yeah, and what this is we're gonna go and actually do investigations with very traditional teams, using our more just intuition, using more our feelings, using more of, you know, some of the kind of old school ways, and we're going to see who gets different results. And so that's going to be an interesting thing coming forward too. So we plan over the next, you know, couple of years, if we're lucky here, thank you, to be, you know, doing our performance, doing our fire art, and then also, you know, doing these shoots.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's exciting. I mentioned to Jim earlier that I'm friends with Alice and Cheryl Cooper,
Yeah.
and I feel like at their next, they have 2 events every year for their charity,
Mm-hmm.
Solid Rock, and I think you guys should be performing at those things.
100%.
That'll bring so many
That's our
exciting.
jam.
Oh yeah,
We
so
would
I'll have
love
to do an
to. I
introduction.
mean,
That'd be cool.
lifelong fan and
That'd be cool.
everything. We'd love to.
Yeah.
Then,
I already got
set that
tickets
up.
for your Alice and Judas Priest are coming later this year, so I already got tickets for
That's another one. If you guys,
Well, maybe we'll go backstage.
So Rob Halford,
Let's
yeah,
talk about
great.
that.
Oh, yeah.
What are some other kind of goal festivals or shows you guys want to be a part
Great
of?
question.
Because I feel like your guys' performance could fit at so many different places. Like I feel like it'd be really cool at like Lightning in a Bottle or
Yeah.
something like that. Like one of those really unique festivals or Shambhala, something like
Yeah,
that.
Shambhala just happened. So I have worked and performed at LIB before. That's a great festival. And you know, like every year I travel around the country and I work and perform at between like 18 and 22 festivals. So I'm on the road a lot, and then Sean and I, we
22 festivals a year. That's amazing.
Yeah, we have our own sprinter gang, we call it, because
Wow.
like Sean, myself, Buck, and Dre, all part of our Art of Flame team. We all have.
Do you all ride in an
we all
RV
have
together?
No, we all have our own
Yeah,
sprinter
separate
vans.
sprinters.
So we call ourselves
okay.
our sprinter gang. But like, so in a typical year, I'm on the road a whole lot. However, this year, like I felt intuitively like I needed to stay more local, spend more time building more art pieces and innovating and working on things, and it's really worked out to my favor because.
Well, what was the reason for that? To spend more time with on your art craft, or to be with your kids, or what?
No, my kids isn't so much. They're all older.
Okay, okay.
He said he was going to make more of his art.
Okay,
Yeah.
just because
Yeah,
of that.
it's
That's
a
great.
professional
That's
art.
and also
amazing.
because of
Yes.
the things that Sean and I have been planning and talking about what we want to do to answer
Well,
your question.
because Deep Chet
Mhm.
produces music.
Yeah.
A lot of times he'll turn down
Wait, I want to keep
a
hearing
lot
about
of
it.
music
Yeah.
events because he wants to work on more of his own music before
Right.
he gets out there again.
Right, and so, and then,
That's it.
but what's fascinating is I elected to do that, pour my time into more local events, and Sean, as Art of Flame and as fire artists, and such, we've been getting booked more in recent times for more local things that have been good for us.
How
And-
exciting.
Yeah, definitely. And then, but then what's wild is some of these big festivals and events that I normally work at and go to ended up getting canceled.
Oh.
Bonnaroo got canceled a day into the fest because of like massive flooding and rain and such.
Oh,
Apogea,
okay.
the regional burn in Colorado, Sean built the effigy for it last year. We had our whole crew and a big fire we did for that with our whole Art of Flame setup last year. That ended up getting canceled after a
Oh,
day
yeah.
because of some issues that were happening on site. So it's kind of wild how the universe has,
Your intuition was accurate.
Yeah.
You sensed it was going to happen. Or
I-
something.
Well, what you
Something,
put
so-
out to the universe comes back to you.
yeah. And
I
then-
believe that so much.
And so where I'm going with this is that, like I said, I'm going to focus on like Desert Hearts and Burning Man and the things that that I pour so much into it that I want to just really produce quality expression with my performance and art with that. But also what Sean and I have been working on is we're like people travel so much to go to these events and do these things, and they're great, they're fantastic, but at the end of the day, the communities that we build are generally more local.
Cheers to that,
You know
because
what I'm
that is
saying?
really
And-
that is really saving
Yeah.
the planet.
And exactly,
Because if you can
and
stay in your
just-
little bubble and enjoy
and
what
being
the
there for
beauty
one
there.
another, and and we've done this, we've done our own events around here, and that's kind of stuff through the years, and just kind of reminding myself, that to bloom where you're planted,
I love that.
and so Sean and I, we don't have an official announcement about it yet, but we are working on our own, Art of Flame event to
Sounds like a
launch
festival to
here.
me.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Art of Flame Festival.
Fire.
Ooh.
Yeah, and being Phoenix and where we are in Arizona,
And we need the shirts, Art
that's
of
where-
Flame.
That's right.
Where are they?
Yeah,
We
yeah,
do
exactly.
tattoos.
Yeah, we do that.
Art of Flame shirts. Where are the hats?
Well, I would say one kind of, I don't even know if they're considered a promoter or what they truly are, but I feel like your company would collaborate so well with Elro, because Elro is all about like elevating the live performance and like live art within
they
a
do cool
show.
stuff.
Yeah, but I've never been to an Elro show that had anything with fire. But they always are going for like the most like outlandish or like wild type of live performance. Like I went to an Elro show in Ibiza, and there was like all these people on stilts.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, coming to
I
the
love
show,
that.
but they were all like doing. Nobody had fire stuff, but they had other stuff. But I feel like they are the type of.
This weekend we had stilts. Who was that guy?
Yeah,
Double guy.
But yeah,
He
I
was
think
going
Elro,
crazy all over,
Elro
yeah.
and Art of Flame would be like the coolest
Hook us
possible.
up. I mean, that sounds cool. A lot of our, a lot of the things are mechanized. And so like the Phoenix opens its wings and moves its head. Enceladus also moves a lot. Like, so there is this element of wow. There's this. We're really kind of trying to hit that. And another thing that we should say is that we have been doing this for a long time at things that essentially are not for money. I mean, I hate to say it. Like we're not making money at Burns, and like a lot
Passion
of
project.
the other festivals, we're helping young festivals often and that sort of thing. Where we're, and so the other part of this is to bridge into, like we said, the TV, the movies, the rock shows, things that can actually keep us going. You know, we're lifers on this. You know,
You
we
don't work
do
for free.
anything else.
You need to be funded, and so you need
Yeah,
that.
so you got to
That's
bridge
exciting.
into what we call the default world. You know, like and still let it be ours. You know,
Well, it sounds like you're doing it because you love to do it, but when you can make money from it, that's
On
even
that
better.
note, can we talk about this piece right here and how somebody can buy one of
Wait,
your pieces?
before we get into that piece,
Okay.
I,
Here we go.
I'm
Go for it.
burning. I'm
Okay.
burning,
She's
y'all.
burning.
I'm
She's
just a
burning.
huge
Appropriately.
listener. I like to know
Yes.
the feeling, engaged, the psyche behind
Yes.
everything. So you guys mentioned that you started by going to a friend's event and they invited you to a practice.
Mhm.
And then you said you started by making armory, right?
Yeah.
So I would like to know, like, what you guys are doing the what is it, fire, is it fire throwing? What is it exactly? What's the technical form term
It's
for
fire
it?
performance.
Yeah.
Fire
Fire
perform.
art.
Thank you. Fire art.
performance.
Mhm.
Fire performance. I want to call it what it is. How do you guys feel? Because it's like, I know that you do it as a hobby. I know it's a passion thing, but what are you guys feeling when you do this? Like, you're doing it for life.
Yeah,
You're
it's
locked
not a
in.
hobby. This is it. This is our lives.
This is your lifestyle,
Yeah.
right?
It's
So how
excitement.
do you feel though? Like when you're out there in front of at the Burning Man project,
Mhm.
and you're just performing in front of all of these people. Like, how what is that feeling like?
It's the best drug.
The best drug.
I don't know.
It
I
is,
don't know
you
which
know,
one that is.
I
but
play
hey.
music too, and I've played a lot on stages
What
and that sort of
instrument?
thing. And I play
Naturally.
guitar now, but I played
Yeah.
drums for a long time with bands, and like
You look like a drummer.
it's it's that feeling, but there is a little bit of a different thing about it, especially with the Burns, where you really feel like it's part of like this ignition to a group thing. You know, like it's almost like this responsibility. You know, like it isn't almost, it is. You know, it's kind of like, you want this to be part of that experience that everybody's having.
Mhm.
You know, you can see it in the faces. You can see it. Like and when all of a sudden Jim throws up an arm and a flame comes out and then a big poof goes out and it's right to the drop and everybody, it's like, wow, that's like, it's like a guitar solo.
But why can't you be drumming while he's doing that?
Well, we're working on some of this. So
Drumming.
like the next thing is, and
Drumming.
we've done that somewhat. I've made some poofer drums before. I kind of need to do the next version of it to get it where I want it to be. But we've been incorporating music more and more, and I think that's really our next thing. For a lot of these events, they're very DJ driven. So like a lot of the reason people are going is what is that DJ schedule, who's playing when, and there's no competing with that. For the most part. And so what we've learned to do is to really interact with that, to activate that. We don't need our own soundtrack because we'll use yours and we'll do our thing with it. And that really makes us integrate really well with a lot of what's going on.
Cool.
Every once in a while we run into a situation where there isn't a sound source and we need to, bring our own thing. And then we've actually, had whole performances around that sound. And
You need to
that
fire it
sort
up
of
with
thing.
Deep Chetty.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
Well,
Save for the DJ.
I'm not
Deep
1000%
Chetty
sure it
music.
was you guys, but you guys look really familiar, and there was definitely fire performers at Full Moon Festival that
Oh, yeah,
I played
that's
at in.
That is them.
I think that was 2022, but it was the one that sold out. I played on the Silent Disco.
That's
That was like one of my favorite
That's
sets I've
your
ever
friends.
played, though.
We,
Yeah.
we did those 2 years. Yeah, those are our friends.
Yeah.
We set up. We had Sean had.
Cheers.
Do you remember that giant phoenix like
Cheers.
dragon looking like?
full
Yeah,
moon.
yeah. So I've
Full
seen you guys
moon.
perform
Like,
that.
we
I
only
was
have
gonna
one more
say,
minute left. How can we end this? Like, what's on your bucket list? What's on your bucket list with 1 minute to go?
We just want to get this out to as many people as we can. As constantly, we just want to keep doing this. We're not trying to get rich. We're just trying to keep going. We have to keep going. Please visit what we've got going on. An Enigma of sorts on Instagram. Sean T French on Instagram. Art of Flame, 2 underscores in that on Instagram. Check us out. See where we're going next. Come on out. Come talk to us. Talk about fire art.
Yeah.
And if somebody wants to hire you, they just message you on those
that's
Instagrams.
it.
Yeah,
Either
that's
one
a
of us,
great
yeah.
way to do it.
And we've done like mansion parties. We've done big festivals. We do kink parties. We do all that stuff.
and this is kind of random, but if somebody's listening and they want to get into fire performance, do you guys give like lessons? Because I feel like
Oh,
it's
there
something
you
that
go.
people,
Question,
it's
yeah.
something that people should
Great
learn how to do
question.
properly. Because it's definitely not
Yeah.
safe in
Right,
the beginning.
right.
Well, and what we do we,
Fire school.
we mentor and then we also really like help guide people on a path. So there's the paths out there. In other words, there's go to this event. These guys will be there. Meet this guy. Go find out this. Go to this workshop. We can definitely help on that.
Very
stuff.
cool.
Saving the planet.
One show at a
Yes.
time.
One fire.